Hi, Brightheart. This is the video where I get honest with you. I have people asking me all the time, Lee, why are you living in Ireland? How are you living in Ireland? Why did you live off grid? How did it work? Like, what did you think? Why are you no longer off grid? So many questions. I don't think I've addressed them on here, so let's do it. Okay, let's start with why I live in Ireland and how. I guess it kind of all comes together. So to give some background, I'm an American. I'm currently 40 years old. When I was 35, it was 2017. Was I 35? Yeah. Hold on, I can't math. 35, 2017. Yeah, because I will be 41 this year. I actually have dyscalculia, I swear. This is a problem. Well, it's not a problem. It's something I've had my whole life. Anyway, okay. In 2016, November, I watched the elections unfold from my little house in Arizona, where I was living for the last 5 years. Originally from New Jersey, Pennsylvania, kind of born and raised, and then did a little stint out there because my mom lived out there and I had my daughter and I wanted to be closer to my mother. I worked at a really cool school in Arizona, but gave it all up because I decided I wanted to be the one to raise my child. So I opened up my own little preschool in my house, kindergarten thing, whatever you want to call it. When the elections happened, I was like, okay, let's evaluate my life. At the time, I had a partner. Wasn't the best relationship, I'll be honest, but we were engaged. Anyway, we got married. So yeah, I'm queer. A woman having a child who at that age, she was 4, she would have been school age the following year. And I just felt like, I don't want to get too political here, but I could just see that our rights were being threatened and I just didn't feel safe. I shouldn't really have to explain that. I didn't feel safe. I know many other people would feel way less safe than I should have. And I have many privileges that I'm aware of. And this is a privilege to make this decision. But in that moment in time, as a mother, I just knew that I needed to get my child out of there and I needed to be out of there. So my wife at the time had dual German citizenship and American citizenship, so we could move anywhere in Europe, and that's a privilege. It's a huge privilege. So we made the decision. My mom's not thrilled about it, wasn't thrilled about it. You know, that's the hardest part for me, is leaving my mom. I'm an only child. She's in Arizona. I see her once every 1 to 2 years now, if even. So that's the hardest part. So we made the decision and sold everything. Wait, I should back up. Hold on. Was it this way? I don't know. Back up. One morning, I was having my coffee in my little pink cottage in Sedona, Arizona. And outside this cottage, there's a crystal tree that all the local people would carve. They'd put their little symbols and crystals all over it. And one morning I was having my coffee and I heard a really loud bang. And I ran to the big picture window and looked out front and I saw my lovely Prius. Yes, that's very stereotypical. I had sold my yellow Beetle to get this Prius. It was brand new to me, with the tree smashed onto the top of it. It totaled my Prius. It smashed up right where my daughter would have been seated in the car too. So anyway, the insurance money and the decision then made to go to Europe. And I've always wanted to live in Ireland. It's been a dream of mine. I went in 2005 when I graduated university with a friend. Sorry, not with a friend. I went with my cousin. Well, she is a friend, but she's like my sister. And we drove around the country and had the best time. And I came back to the States after that. And I know this is such a trope, but the connection that I felt to this land was incomparable to the connection I had to land in the States. I would just dream about Ireland and living there and drawing pictures of my little cottage that I would live in. I knew it was unreachable after 2005 and impractical and all these things, but I just couldn't stop thinking about it. And when this opportunity came up and Brexit was happening, so we were like, okay, the only English speaking, technically I guess the native, not native because obviously Gaeilge is the original language here, but like the majority speaking English country in Europe would be Ireland, and it just fit. So we decided to move, and we came out in May 2017 to look at houses and everything. And long story short, we came here in August, mid-August 2017. My daughter had just turned 5, enrolled her in school here, and we landed where we landed because there was a school that was similar to the school my daughter was going to in the States, and there was a spot, and that was the only reason. But so many things have come full circle since coming to Clare. Memories I had from 2005, I visited again in 2011, and all these little bits that came together full circle, places I had been during those visits, and I had said, oh, this is where I want my ashes thrown, or oh, this is where I want to live. And I ended up literally living here unplanned. I actually named one of my cats Ennis in 2000. I think I got him in 2008. After Ennis, like that's the main townland here, so it's pretty cool. Anyway, where was I? Okay, so we landed, got here. I was supposed to go, when was it? So August, September, October. I think in October my visa appointment was upcoming, so I had to get a stamp 4. Able to live and work here as a spouse of an EU citizen. My partner at the time was on a very, very quick, steady decline in mental health. I won't even get into all of that because I have put it behind me. It's very traumatic, very... Obviously, I should have left her long ago. Did part of me stay with her to come to Ireland? I don't think so. I've thought about that. I really have. I really did love her. Like, I really did. And I really believed in the goodness in her, even though the red flags and the abuse were rampant. That's what we do when we love somebody, don't we? We kind of ignore those things. So anyway, she ended up leaving the country and then not showing up for my visa appointment, which rendered me illegal. She came back around, when was it? I don't know, Halloween, and took everything from the house. And I was unemployed, unable to work with my child in a foreign country. So, well, just to say that was probably the darkest time in my life. I wrote to everyone I could write to in the government. I didn't really know what I was doing. I spoke to people around town. I was receiving letters of deportation basically because I had no reason to be here. My daughter at this point was now in school. These things take a while, so let's say, when did everything finally happen? So basically, I've got my letters of deportation. I kept writing. I had my daughter's school write a letter about the benefit for her to stay now. She had just begun school. She was enmeshed in the community. We'd become a part of the community. So I had people write on my behalf. And basically they just said, no, we will pay for you to go back to the States. Now, something I didn't say was that I did move 5 cats and a dog over. And they told me I would have to rehome them here. They couldn't pay for all that. So I was distraught, to say the least. Distraught. And everyone's like, just go back. What's the big deal? Because the big deal was I finally landed somewhere that I felt safe to raise my child. It's the first place that it felt like I could make life happen, that we could be happy and good. And the community already off the ground was, not off the ground, what am I trying to say? Immediately welcoming and kind and good and helpful. People rallied around me in a way that I had never experienced in the States. And that's not to say that that's the States' problem. It could have been my problem there, but regardless. Anyway, I had been in contact with someone in the Justice Minister. Now I'm forgetting the word. Minister of something or other. I don't know. I'm sorry. I should have taken notes for this. A secretary there or someone working there, and she was really, really sweet. I think this was the following summer. So it'd been almost a year of like fighting to stay and getting these deportation letters and just kind of like, I don't know what to do with myself. At that point, I got student loans so that I could do school online and live off of them. That's how I survived. That's how I fed my child. You know, we do what we have to do. So basically, one night, my grandfather came to me in my dream and he was hugging me. When I was small, my mother was very young. When she had me, my grandmother and grandfather basically raised me. My grandfather spent every day with me until I was about 3.5. He was diagnosed with cancer and ended up dying. And I remember the day he was taken away. It was my first abandonment. It was my first major trauma, probably. He was a big part of my life, and I've always felt like he watched over me after that. We lived with them. Anyway, so that night here, after, you know, saying I was going to be deported and everything, I had a dream that he came to me and he was hugging me and he was telling me, just trying not to get emotional now, that everything was going to be okay. And I remember feeling him, and I had never had a dream this vivid about him. Like, I've always known he's there, but never anything so clear and vivid and obvious. And he was hugging me and he said, it's all going to be okay. And I started crying into his neck, into his shoulder, so hard that actually my weeping woke me up. And I woke up and I was like, like tears, like crying. And I checked my email, just on the off chance, just laying in the bed in the morning as you do, trying to calm down from that stressful dream. Not stressful, but like emotional dream. And I received an email from that lovely lady in the justice's office, minister. Sorry, I need to write down what this is, in the office, saying, you will soon be receiving a letter granting your permission to remain in the state. It was a visa of exceptional measure that I received because of my daughter, and the life that she had here now. I know my grandfather had something to do with that. He put it on the right desk of the right person. How else? Like, and I just want to take a moment to recognize the privilege here. My name is a very English, Irish, American, I don't even know what you want to call it, very like white person name. I'm sure all that had something to do with it. I don't also want to discredit miracles, but I do want to acknowledge that other people in my same situation might not have the same outcome, and I don't want to take away from that either. But this was my story, and that's what happened. And so I was given a renewable stamp 4 visa, which I'm allowed to live and work in this country. I pay taxes in this country. I cannot receive any benefits. The one stipulation was that I cannot be a burden on the state. So I do not get the child allowance. I can't get social housing, anything like that, which will bring me to why I ended up living off grid. So go take a break. Yeah, so the visa I renew every year. As of this past winter, could begin applying for citizenship. That is my intention. It's a pricey and lengthy process, so I need to do a bit more research. But that's my next goal, and hopefully you'll see all of this come to fruition, where I will actually have an Irish passport. It would be such a dream come true. All right, so we'll talk about the off-grid thing soon. Be right back. Okay, I've got my big jug of water. No joke, this is what I use. I think it's from IKEA, but okay, why did I move off grid then, you ask? Well, I was now able to have my own business and work, and so I was in graduate school living off of student loans, as I said. Wasn't really feasible to continue. A friend who lived across the street, Japanese friend, and I decided we were going to start a fair trade shop and cafe. And I got the business all figured out, registered everything. It was called the Rainbow Room. And we were going to start by making vegan sushi and sell it for takeaway. And that way we could get some savings to get a storefront. In Japan, she and her sister had an ethical trade shop. So we were going to model that here and have just a small little takeaway, like refrigerator there for juices, sushis, and cold healthy salads and things like that, like easy to eat kind of stuff. So anyway, she trained me in the sushi. We got the HSE, what's it called? I forget what it's called. Certification for food handling. Sorry. And I don't know why this is looking like this. I'm very sorry. I need to get a stand. Looking at the ceiling. Oh, that's gonna have to do for now. Anyway, okay, so I made a website. We started advertising on social media. We had the inspections with the HSE to make sure everything was kosher. We were using her kitchen in Ensteimen. And then we launched on February 28th, 2020. I'm gonna give you a moment to let the light bulb appear over your head as to why that didn't work out. You guessed it. A mere 2 weeks later, the world shut down because of the pandemic. So we continued doing takeaway, all safety measures in place. It was doing really well, actually. Like, we were getting more people interested in purchasing than we were able to produce. My friend ended up kind of backing out. It was just too much with the pandemic and everything. But then it started waning. I mean, lockdowns became seriously intense. I remember at one point running around town in the middle of the day and not a car on the road. It was eerie, like apocalyptic eerie. I started working out of a local pub that was no longer running, but it wasn't financially doable anymore. I was putting more money into it than I was getting back. So we lasted, I think, until August. I'm not even sure. And then shut down. I wasn't alone in that time for businesses shutting down. So then I was like, look, it's a pandemic. I actually can't find work. Like, I tried doing my own business. No one's even out. We're not even allowed to be out. How am I supposed to get support? All these people were getting all of this money because they were citizens or they were entitled, and I couldn't get anything to stay home, or I couldn't find work. I wrote again to the government, who said, nope, we'll pay for you to go home if you want, but we can't give you anything else. And I was like, what am I gonna do? So rent was backing up. This is when I started TikTok. I sound very from the East Coast of the States. Well, slips out every once in a while. Some lovely people on TikTok actually donated to my situation, which was beautiful. I was no longer able to pay rent. I had a beautiful little house in Ensteimen, and it wasn't very expensive. It was like $500 a month, but like, when you make zero and you have a child to feed, and you literally have no money coming in, that's where I was. So I started considering alternative options. A friend of mine had a field kind of far away. It was like 25 minutes away. Felt like in the middle of nowhere. And she always said, look, if you need to stay there, go stay there. Make it happen. Do what you need to do. We're not using that for at least 10 years or whatever. So I used the money that everyone so generously and kindly donated to me, which still in my heart, it's so large and grateful for all that was contributed to us during that time. And with that money, I was able to buy a mobile home it was like a 2,500 euro mobile home. I took a friend who had a mobile home down to look, because I'd never even been in one. We noticed there was a damp spot in the back, and we said, look, I said, we'll take it if you fix it. Like, you need to fix with a leak and replace the floor there. And they said they would. They said they'll help us through the whole process. To get a mobile home on the land, I had to level the land. I had to put stone down. It cost a good amount of money. So all the donations went to that. Then the mobile home gets there, and the people from the business drop it off, and they say, look, we're always here for you, whatever you need. Maybe we can help you get a wood burning stove. which didn't generate very much heat. This was in February now. I wasn't clear about that. February 2021. It's freezing still, okay? I have a friend come because I noticed that the floor is still not right. And he pulls it up and we notice loads of black mold, like so much black mold. And this is the part where everyone's like, well, not everyone. One person said, don't start tearing it apart. It's like a can of worms that you're going to open. And I was like, I hear you, but also I don't want my child sleeping in here on the floor in this tiny little space with all this black mold. So I started pulling it up. Hey friends, I have some pretty bad news for those of you following my journey. Doing my best to stay on the positive side, but I want to show you something that we discovered in the mobile, and it's currently unlivable. So we found a wet patch down there, and we started pulling back, and this is where the toilet, closet, and shower room were. So if you know my situation, you know this was a hiccup that I can't quite handle. I don't know the answer right now, but the chassis underneath is also rusted, so a lot needs to be done. If anyone has any tidbits, pointers. Wow, guys, this is definitely a journey. It's not for the faint-hearted. I'm losing my voice. I'm so stressed out, guys. This is so bad. This is so bad. And it got worse and worse and worse and worse. Ended up ripping out the bathroom, the shower room, the closets, all the bedrooms. The mold extended to the entire length, rotted. The chassis was completely rotted. I realized that I didn't know anything. I was relying on their good graces. They saw me coming a million miles away, and they fleeced me. And I contacted them and I said, look, I don't know anything about mobile homes. Will you please take this one back? I can't use it. And they basically ignored me. They said now that I took it apart, there's nothing they could do, which fair enough. But like, anyway, 10,000 euro later, including all the mobile, this is the whole price. So the mobile home, leveling the ground, putting the stone, buying new flooring, new insulation, new everything to redo the whole thing. I had to get stones, blocks to put the mobile home on. I mean, it just was like suddenly that's more than I spent in a year on rent almost. Like this choice was made to save us money, and it ended up costing more. In the meantime, I'll put some videos up here, or you can go see the other video. It's my whole off-grid experience, and it tells you all about that. You can see the journey. When we ripped up the floor, there was just giant holes in my mobile home. I had to go stay with friends. Couldn't even have my animals in there. It was so stressful. It was freezing. Single glazed windows, all cracked. But it was my way to stay in Ireland. Didn't start the way it was meant to. And then there was forestry all around. And literally the week we moved in, they started felling the trees. It just felt like one bad omen after another. So I was constant like felling of trees right next to our property. This beautiful forest was coming down. It looked like an apocalypse. It looked dystopian. Horrendous noise. I mean, they were really nice, the guys, because they helped me with a couple things with the property. But anyway, it was tough. I didn't have running water. I didn't have electricity. I was bringing my cell phone to people's houses to charge it and have little power banks. I was collecting rainwater, you know, and then things would happen, like the whole barrel would empty out. I had no clue what I was doing, people. Not a clue. I spent 8 months living like that, and a month and a half after I moved into it, I actually got a job teaching in a kindergarten, which it was like bittersweet, because I was able to work and bring in money now. But that job was exhausting, and coming home and lugging water into the house to wash dishes, lugging the bucket of shit out every day because we were using a literal bucket. When it wasn't raining enough, I had to go source water from springs and faucets in town. Like, it was hard flipping work. Hey friends, welcome to your off-grid mobile home in Ireland called Dragonfly Cottage. not too much has changed since the last time you were here. Oh, isn't that lovely? So, we have the living space. We have the kitchen space. We'll be painting soon, so everything's set up for that. All of this will be cabinets in the near future. Some requests to see the loo, so I've left the curtain back for you. There it is! Hey! All right, so this is my daughter's bed and my bed. I have a closet. We still have stuff to put away, clearly. But there that is. A lot of it was really charming and I love it, and I always say if I had the funds, the proper funds to do it right, I would do it again, but I wouldn't work the way I worked then. There was no way both of them. So being a single mother, working nearly full-time in a kindergarten, which talk about energy suck, like it's the most beautiful thing to work with young people, but I'm not 20 anymore. And then to come home at 4 o'clock and have to somehow prepare food in the dark. It was still winter time because we had no lights. Like, oh my God, it was a lot. My friend just rang me. We're actually going to look at land right now. So we'll take a little hiatus, not a hiatus, an intermission, a second intermission. Look, even when you turn 40, you still get spots, folks. Yeah, so let's go look at some land. Might not be very much to see on a video because there's no house or anything, and then it's skating. So I think my story's pretty much done, but no, it's a little bit more to it. Are you ready? Are you ready for more story? Okay, see you soon. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. That's the forestry. The barn's part of it. Okay. Oh, someone else is coming. There's a tiny access. And then this field. So you have to come through. Okay, we just came through a whole bunch of water. Oh yeah, I wouldn't be able to get through here.
It's really slippery. You just needed to hear it's a shallow. You can walk.
Okay, so there's a moat with this property. This is your entrance. This is wild. Oh, right, okay. Are these buildings part of it then, or no? If I had $1 million.
Yeah, do that on the road to Karoo.
Oh yeah. As always, the day gets away from me. I'll just finish like this. I'm tired, and this is pretty much how the day goes. How did I end up leaving the off-grid situation? Well, as I said, it was just entirely too much. Winter was coming. And I had experienced the winter beforehand, so like February, March, and it was unbearable. So basically, in September 28th to be exact, I was turning 39, and I remember walking. If I can find the video, I'll insert it here. I remember walking down the road as I did every day and just making my wishes for the year ahead. Good morning! So today is my last day being 38, and I have a hard time with odd numbers, so I'm turning 39 tomorrow. 38 was a particularly difficult year, but in my 39th year I have some goals. The number one thing I want to do is find a house, obviously. I thought that would have happened before my 39th birthday. I kind of hit rock bottom in that experience, not in life, but in that experience. I was just exhausted from working the way I was working. I think I came home one night, I lugged the thing of shit out into the compost. It was getting dark, dog rolled in fox shit. Sorry, I'm saying that word a lot. And I have no running water to wash her, so I have to lug water, fill up this shower thing that I used to use. It was like a bag. I would boil water on the gas hob, fill up the bag, and hang it out of the window. And it had the shower nozzle, and that's what I would use as a shower, so I used that to bathe my dog. And I just had a big meltdown, and I told my daughter, I said, look, can you go in the car, or like, can you stay in the mobile? And I think I went in the car, and I actually had a big weep. And I was like, this is it. I can't live like this. Winter is coming. I won't be able to survive. I didn't have enough money to get a wood burner in. It was just too much of an investment, knowing the mobile home was not in great nick anyway. So I was asking people about rentals, which is also really hard because it costs a lot of money. I have pets. It's just a money suck, freaking rent. I found this little cottage on a website, Done Deal. It's just like you put your own little ads, you pay a tenner or something. It's kind of like Craigslist in the States. And I was like, all right, that cottage looks like nice, but it doesn't look like it to be in great condition. So I sent the person a message. I just said, would you consider a long-term rental? And she actually said, yeah, let's meet. She asked me a price that I could pay once I saw it. I mean, it came with a lot of junk. It comes with all of her stuff. There's literally rubbish in here when I moved in. There's literally a washing machine in the back garden. But it's not my place, so I can't do anything about it. But I do love the cottage. I love the cottage. The shape, the layout, the location, everything. Even the colors, like the blue. Oh my God. It's my dream. She asked me to name a price. I named a price that was more than I could probably pay, but it was a little less than she anticipated. But she actually said, okay, and she accepted it. So I still pay a good amount. I pay $600 a month, which is a lot when you add it up. When, you know, here comes my daughter. Yeah.
Oh yeah, they're right there. Can you please use your keys to like open the windows of the car so we can like scrub in around there? I got a tiny forest out that was really like disgusting moldy. Can we?
Okay. Just don't get water like inside the car.
We won't. We'll scrub it with a nearly dry, but at least get the moldiness out.
Thank you. Grandma Hagat. She and her friend are currently washing my car, 7:30 at night, trying to make money. I'm paying them €3 each so they can save to buy tickets to fly to Orlando to go to Disney World. Bless them. Anyway, yeah, so now I'm here and renting, and you can see that I'm looking for land and doing all this stuff because I would love to have my own place one day. My own place, like forever place. I've moved my child a lot. If you've watched the last video on the land that I absolutely adore, I still do. We're going back up there again. I don't think tomorrow, but maybe at the weekend. I adore it, but what can I do? You know, I can keep dreaming and keep wishing, and I am, but it's just not completely realistic, though I do love believing in miracles. So I'm just going to keep dreaming about it and see what happens. But it's currently up to 95,000. It's listed total for 101. So the bidding is like up 500 a day. It's not really moving very fast. So I don't know. I mean, I like to say there's hope out there, but unless I can somehow come up with like 60, 70 grand. So my friends have 40, possibly, and we can go in on it together. But anyway, that's where we are there. If you have any questions, pop them into the comments here about any of my experiences, my experience getting my visa, which, I mean, there's not so much I can say about that one. It's not necessarily a visa route that most people could take. I'm still shocked that I got it. I'm very grateful.
Any questions? Anyway, just pop them down. I'll try to get to them about the living off-grid situation. Anything. As long as it's not too personal, I will answer it. All right, I need to go drop a friend off and go to bed. I'm tired. Like, what the hell? I don't know why I'm so tired. All I did today was work on the computer for the learning community. And then, well, I did walk a whole lot around land. Okay, so what's my thing? What do I say? My new closing ceremony. What do I say? Okay, let me take a drink of water from my chalice. If people can hate without reason, then I can love without reason. So I love all of you. Tagra agam yiv. Slán! Mwah!